What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. So let's just dive right in and let's talk about, well, let me give my review of the new Russel Crowe movie, Unhinged. Now, I know it's not really that new. It came out in theaters, I think, back in September, but theaters were not open right where I'm at the time that it came out. And then when the theaters did open up, I had stuff happening. And I long story short, I didn't get to see it until it came out for rent just this week. So I went ahead and rented it. And what did I think of it? Well, it did its job. I was tense the whole time. I was at the edge of my seat. I was glued to the screen. I felt fear. I felt exhilaration. I felt the thrill of the chase. It did what it was supposed to do. The problem is that after it was over and the thrill had gone, you think to yourself, huh, that would have never went on that long. So it's about Russel Crowe. He is a twisted dude. He's gone through some bad stuff recently, divorce and things of that nature, and he just flipped. The switch just turned. I mean, it's kind of like that whole idea that the Joker always tries to say, right? Is that one bad day can make somebody insane. Well, that's kind of what happens to Russel Crowe. He has a bad day, and the switch is turned, and he goes ballistic nuts and starts killing people. And one of the people that he sets his eye on is our main star. Now, I forget who the actress is that plays her. Let me look it up. Let me look it up. Because she did a good job. I was impressed with her performance. Hang on one second, guys. All right, here it comes. So, she was played by Karen Pistorius, and she plays Rachel, and Rachel is the main protagonist of the film. So she's the one that's behind the car, and she honks her horn at Russel Crowe's character, and that was her mistake, was honking the horn. And then her big mistake was when he pulls up next to her, and he says, I don't even get a courtesy tap. Honk, honk. I don't even get a courtesy tap. You got to go straight to the blaring. And he asked for an apology. And she refused to apologize. And at that point, he says, you're about to find out what it's like to have a bad day. And at that point, things just get crazy. He starts stalking her. He starts killing people. He literally steals her phone and finds out who her loved ones are and starts literally stalking them and killing them. And it was a fun, thrilling ride that would have never gone on that long in real life. I think about I think about the real life instances where there's been somebody with a gun or somebody with a knife or something, and they do harm to people in public. Those people don't make it very far. Those people are usually apprehended or shot by the police very, very, very shortly after the act that they committed. Now, not always. I'm not saying that's 100% of the time, but it just seems like somebody who's in a diner and murders somebody in front of dozens of people, he isn't going to make it that far. And that's kind of what happens here. But all that being said, the realism isn't necessarily what's needed here. What's needed here is the thrills, and there are a lot of thrills. There's a lot of tension, and especially when Rachel's son gets back into the movie, because he's in it in the beginning, and then he goes to school, and then she goes and picks him up from school. And when he's back in the movie especially gets more tense and more thrilling. And that might be just because I'm a dad, and I can kind of connect with the idea of wanting to keep your kids safe. And there was direct threats made to her kid. to her kid's life. And so at that point, I get it. I get the stakes have been ratcheted up for me, but yeah, it's one of those movies that it's fun to watch, but it doesn't necessarily stand up under intense scrutiny. There's a lot of convenient moments taking in the benefit of the antagonist in this movie, where he got out of that diner just in time because we heard the police sirens coming up, and oh, by the way, nobody really saw the make and model of his truck because then the police could have found him. I don't know. It didn't hold up under scrutiny, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good time. Russel Crowe continues to amaze me at the physical changes that he's willing to go through to play a character. And like, I was sitting there watching the movie, and in this movie he kind of takes on an overweight, not like an obese person, but somebody who's, probably your average American. And that's probably the point, was they wanted him to look like an average American. So he looked like your average American male. Not grossly obese, but he was overweight. And he kind of talked with a bit of a drawl. He seemed like your normal, everyday person. And again, that was the point, was that this could happen. Anybody could snap on one bad day, and anybody can go off the rails. It's something I don't necessarily agree with. I don't necessarily agree with the thought that anybody can lose their mind by having some bad days. But I do believe that some bad days can cause some people to do that, and that's clearly what happened to Russel Crowe's character here. But again, he just continues to amaze me with the physical changes he's willing to go through to play a character, and he embodied this character. He was this person. What was the guy's name? Tom Cooper. He was Tom. He was this character. He was this psychotic. There's several points in the film where you can see his eyes, where you can just tell in his eyes that there's something not right, that he's off his rocker. And only Russel Crowe can do that, right? Russel Crowe just has this amazing ability to become the character that he's playing. So, yes, very good performance. And I remember watching it thinking, what is Russel Crowe doing in this movie? What is he doing? Somebody with his acting ability, somebody with his resume, somebody with his gravitas. What is he doing in this movie? This is a low-budget chase movie. A low-budget horror chase movie. What is he doing here? It didn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't make sense to me, especially considering, I could see maybe he was just looking for a quick paycheck and he's just going to pop in, and he changed his physical appearance for this movie. He read something in that script that he wanted to play that character. And I don't get it, but good for him. He sold it and did a great job. The rest of the cast is fine, is mostly disposable potential victims for Russel Crowe's character, but he was the centerpiece. In this movie, the antagonist was the centerpiece. He was the star. He was the one that, when he was on screen, the eyes were on him, because he was so far above and away better than everybody else on the screen. Not to say that Karen Pistorius, who plays Rachel, not to say she didn't do a good job, not to say that the boy who plays her son Kyle didn't do a good job. They just weren't elevated to his caliber. So, great performance by Russel Crowe. It's a lot of fun to be watching it in the moment, but it didn't hold up to scrutiny. It didn't hold up to real plot scrutiny. It had a lot of conveniences in it. That being said, I had a good time. This movie did what it was supposed to do. So I have a hard time giving this a bad grade because it did what it was supposed to do, and the performance was great. I give this movie a B-. Unhinged gets a B- for me. I had fun. I had fun with it. It was not a perfect movie, but I had fun. So I give it a B-. What did you give Unhinged, starring Russel Crowe? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're here, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content. Want to make sure you guys are up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you for joining me here at the OK Review, where we get to talk about the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you later.